So I decided to take a break today from procrastinating on my college work, and instead I watched a movie. I was watching Planet of the Apes, the original 1968 version with Charlton Heston, and this is a series of movies that have been remade like a shit ton of times. I remember watching the 2001 version when I was probably 8, and I didn't like it. I thought it was a very boring movie. I remember I was over at one of my mom's friend's house and they were watching it, and the entire time I'm watching this movie, I'm just like, "Can we go home? This is boring." And they're like, "We'll go home after the movie's over." I'm like, so I remember that was really boring. It's like the really boring moments of your life, the moments where you're a kid and you're trapped in some place and you can't leave. Those are the moments you remember the most, right? Am I alone on that? Well, anyway, I was watching this again. I watched the 1968 version when I was a little bit older, maybe when I was around 11 or 12. And I remember really liking it. I remember liking it a lot more than the 2001 version. I thought, despite the fact of it being, 30 years older, you can't tell a lot of times. So the makeup work is Academy Award winning in this film. So I would check it out. If you've never seen it, I understand there's a lot of people that might get kind of like a little, when they want to watch a movie that's really old, you might feel kind of I don't want to watch that because it's going to be so old, and it's going to be kind of the costumes are going to suck, and the acting's going to be stilted, and the music's not going to be good or anything like that. No, seriously, check it out. Really do. I mean, in some respects it is on par with stuff that you would see today, and for 1968 it's absolutely groundbreaking. But anyway, when I watched it when I was 12, I enjoyed the movie, but I thought of it very simplistically. It's okay, there's a guy, Taylor, that gets stranded on this planet full of apes, and the entire movie, there's this big conflict between Taylor and the head ape, Dr. Zaius. And the movie, it has a lot of religious tones to it that I think were lost on me as a child. And so when I was 11 or 12 and watching it, I was thinking, oh, Taylor has to try to convince the apes that he isn't an animal. His species isn't horrible and brutal, and they just destroy everything they meet. That's us. Those are humans. We build and we create and we're amazing, right? Right. That's the premise of the movie. Watching it again, I've discovered that it's a little bit more, because you don't want to root for the apes because they're the bad guys. At least Dr. Zaius is. There's a few apes that are good, but you don't want to root for Dr. Zaius because it's he's the bad guy. He's trying to kill him, right? But then watching it now, it's damn, they were actually not far off. The message of the movie. And Dr. Zaius just straight up says it at the end of the film. He just humans create and then they destroy. And they bring death and destruction to everything. They don't think rationally. They rely on their emotions to guide them. And the message is that the apes are actually more developed than human beings in that regard. Because while the technology level is not on par with them, and they still have problems with religion and everything, where they're very you believe what we tell you to believe, or we're gonna kill you or put you on trial for heresy or whatever you got. But aside from that, they think very logically. They don't let their emotions get in the way of their thought process a long time. Now you might say, well, that's just because they have an iron rule over them with the religion, but that's the basic deal. Is humans rely too much on their emotions, and that's where war starts. And apparently in this society there is no war. So that's one thing, So I think that was the message the movie's trying to get across here, is while Taylor is this spitting it, Charlton Heston is the spitting image of that's the 1960s, definition of masculinity. He's walking around the entire movie with no shirt on. He's got a gun. He's got a fucking awesome beard. He shaves it off later, but got the awesome, that's what it is to be a man. And he's going around cracking wise with everyone at the end. Trying it. He's looking down on Dr. Zaius' view. He's looking down on it you don't know what humans really are. Human beings are really more advanced than you're making us out to believe. You're treating us like animals. And Dr. Zaius is yeah, because you are. You destroy everything you come across. You are animals. And then, of course, the big spin on the end of the movie, the spoiler alert, in case you haven't noticed on a nearly 50-year-old film. But, yeah, it turns out that the planet they're on, the planet of the apes, is actually Earth, like 3,000 years in the future. And Dr. Zaius was right. Humans do destroy everything they come across, and then Taylor realizes this at the end of the film, and then you have the iconic scene where he's screaming in front of the Statue of Liberty like, "You maniacs! You blew it up! Damn you all to hell!" And this was right before he set off. He's like, you know, if humans would have destroyed the entire world, what would be the reason for that? And then he sees the Statue of Liberty, and he realizes, oh shit, this was our planet. Oh my god, they destroyed it. Why did they destroy it? Because there isn't a reason. There was a war, and then everyone died, and just that's what makes him break down. So really, really awesome film. Check it out. I haven't watched it for the better part of over a decade, but it was a good watch. I don't know. I know there was 4 movies in the original series. There was Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and I think Battle of the Planet of the Apes was one of them, and then there was another one later on. I know there was 4. And when I was like 12 and I saw the first one, I was like, that was pretty good. Let me go watch the second one. And the second one, I remember I couldn't get through it. I remember the second one being, oh man, this is boring as fuck. So maybe I'll check them out again now, and maybe now that I'm older, and maybe I can get more of these like religious themes and like the undertones of what they're trying to get across here. Maybe I'll be able to understand it a little bit better. But yeah. So more or less like a movie vlog, but you know, I'm all for it. I don't get to watch that many movies anymore, really. I don't. I don't even know why I decided to watch this. I really don't know what irked me to watch this today, but it did. So I'm glad I did. Signing out.